Hello. Today is Tuesday, November 12, 2024. This is meteorologist Ruben Garcia. As I record this video, it is 6 p.m. local time in Jamaica, Honduras, and Nicaragua, where we are closely monitoring the evolution of a strong tropical wave that has been designated as Invest 99, with a high probability of developing into a dangerous hurricane as it approaches northeastern Nicaragua and Honduras. In fact, on the infrared satellite animation, we can see how the tropical wave has become more organized throughout the afternoon and is generating intense thunderstorms near the wave axis. It's highly likely that the cyclogenesis process will be rapid, and within the next 48 hours, we should have a tropical depression or Tropical Storm Sara forming south of the island of Jamaica. This disturbance has the potential to become a dangerous major hurricane in the western Caribbean Sea over the weekend. So it's crucial that residents of Honduras, northern Nicaragua, Belize, the Yucatán Peninsula, western Cuba, Jamaica, and the state of Florida remain vigilant in the coming days. In this video, I would like to discuss two possible scenarios that we are considering today. Initially, this disturbance is expected to move west-southwest and remain somewhat stationary over the weekend just northeast of Nicaragua and east of Honduras. However, there is still some uncertainty about whether it will take a path closer to the coast of Honduras, Belize, and the Yucatán Peninsula or a slightly more north-northwestward trajectory. These two scenarios have significant implications for the effects that will be felt across the Western Caribbean. First, a path closer to Honduras and Belize would likely limit the intensity of this future cyclone somewhat. However, it represents the worst-case scenario for northern Honduras, where excessive rainfall could lead to potentially catastrophic flooding. If, on the other hand, it follows a more north-northwest trajectory, the heaviest rain would likely affect northeastern Nicaragua and Honduras. However, this would represent the worst-case scenario for the Yucatán Peninsula, western Cuba, and later the state of Florida, as it would allow this cyclone to strengthen into a major hurricane before moving over these areas. Therefore, there is much to observe in the coming days, and I urge you to stay updated with the National Hurricane Center's updates. We can clearly see these two scenarios in the ensemble members of the European model. Those with a more southward and westward path keep the system somewhat weak, possibly as Tropical Storm Sara. But although this scenario seems more favorable in terms of intensity, it would mean the highest rainfall amounts for northern Honduras. However, under the other scenario, the system would have the opportunity to move over the waters of the western Caribbean Sea. And the members that follow this north-northwest trajectory strengthen this future cyclone into a powerful hurricane before moving between the northeastern Yucatán Peninsula, western Cuba, and then over central and southern Florida. It's important to note that the National Hurricane Center has continued to increase the probability of cyclonic development. At 1 p.m. today, they raised the probability of tropical depression development to 90% over the next 7 days. With the latest model runs, this probability is likely to increase overnight and into Wednesday morning. As I mentioned in this morning's video, the concern is that conditions will be extremely favorable for rapid strengthening of this future cyclone. In the following image, you can see the upper-level atmospheric conditions expected when this cyclone is just northeast of Nicaragua, showing an anticyclone forming over the system, providing good ventilation across all quadrants of the circulation, which essentially guarantees rapid intensification as long as it stays away from the coast of Honduras. Additionally, remember that sea surface temperatures in the central and western Caribbean Sea are between 29 and 30 degrees Celsius, with a high heat content at ocean depths, which also contributes to the potential for rapid intensification. Now that the tropical wave has been designated as Invest 99, we're starting to see some projections from intensity models, which initially forecast that in about 4 to 5 days, we could have a major hurricane between Category 3 or 4. However, remember that this will depend on the path it takes. If, for any reason, it moves over parts of Honduras, this could limit its strengthening. Let's look at these different scenarios according to the latest global model projections. Let's start with the American model, the GFS. By tomorrow night, Wednesday, it has already developed a tropical depression or Tropical Storm Sara southwest of Jamaica, and brings it quite close to northeastern Honduras and Nicaragua. However, notice that throughout the weekend, this model projects that the future Hurricane Sara will move slowly through this region, which allows for rapid strengthening. In its latest run, it shows a Category 4 or Category 5 hurricane developing between Sunday and Monday just east and northeast of Nicaragua and Honduras. In this scenario, it remains over Caribbean waters without approaching or making landfall on the Honduran coast, which allows it to become a powerful hurricane and potentially move over parts of the Yucatán Peninsula and western Cuba as a Category 3 or Category 4 hurricane. In the long term, it could take a path, posing a threat to the state of Florida. Under this scenario, which has a slightly more northerly track compared to the European model, The rain accumulation projections show that the heaviest rainfall would remain over Caribbean waters. In the latest run, the American model projects between 175 and 200 millimeters for eastern Honduras and northeastern Nicaragua, which could cause significant flooding in the region. Next, I'll show you the other scenario, in which it moves further west and could bring extremely high rainfall totals across central and northern Honduras. It's also important for residents of Jamaica and the Cayman Islands to stay alert, as models are projecting between 100 and 200 millimeters over the next 5 to 7 days. Now, let's look at the other scenario, which is shown by the European model. Initially, by the end of this week, it has a tropical depression or tropical storm developing northeast of Honduras. Similar to the American model, it shows this system moving slowly and erratically throughout the weekend, but closer to the coast of Nicaragua and Honduras, which prevents it from strengthening into a powerful hurricane. In this case, the model keeps it as a tropical storm or Category 1 hurricane as it moves parallel to the coast of Honduras and eventually over northern Belize and the Yucatán Peninsula. Although this scenario may seem more favorable as it limits the cyclone's intensity, it is actually the worst-case scenario for Honduras, as it would bring rainfall accumulations that could exceed 800 or 900 millimeters across the coast and central regions of Honduras. If the European model's projection holds, we are potentially looking at a catastrophic situation for parts of Honduras and Nicaragua. Therefore, it is crucial for residents in Honduras to prepare for a significant flood event. Please spread the word and share this video with people who live in northern Nicaragua and northern Honduras. The German model generally aligns with the European model, showing a track very close to the northern coast of Honduras, which could somewhat limit strengthening. However, it has a Category 1 or Category 2 hurricane affecting northern Honduras and bringing excessive rainfall over the weekend. The UK model takes a slightly more northerly track and eventually moves over the northeastern Yucatán Peninsula early next week. The key point is to continue closely monitoring its evolution and to see which of these two scenarios will unfold in the coming days. It's also important for residents of Costa Rica and Panama, as they are expected to receive excessive rainfall totals of over 500 millimeters in the next 7 days. For parts of northeastern Nicaragua, northern Honduras, Belize, the Yucatán Peninsula, western Cuba, and Jamaica, there is still some uncertainty about the exact impacts they will experience from the future Hurricane Sara. So I encourage you to stay tuned to this channel for forecast updates. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any content. If you aren't already, subscribe and click the bell so you get notifications when I post new videos. Well, with that, I'll sign off. The next video will be recorded early tomorrow, Wednesday. Goodbye.